So Dana White just came out and he said that Nate Diaz is on the level of a Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey. That's incredible. And if you were to sit and look at that, the very first thing you would have to ask yourself is why? Now, the fan does not have to do that. The fan can just blow with the wind in whichever direction it's going and who you like, you like. But if you're a fighter and you're aspiring and you're trying to climb the card, it'd be extremely important that you ask yourself why and how did this happen. If you go back and you look at Nate's record over a very meaningful period of time, go say his last 10 fights. I don't know what that record is off the top of my head, but I know he's batting about 500, and it might be worse than that. So to look into it and say why is very relevant to identify and then attempt to see what parts of that can you pull out and copy. You're not going to get it all. Even if you identify it, there's going to be some places there that you can't copy it. First off, coming in, having all the pressure on him in a huge fight against Conor McGregor where he was supposed to fall down and get beat up and Conor can move on with his life, and standing up to him and stopping that from happening, probably something that you're not likely to be able to duplicate, at least not within your own controls. Okay, fine. That was very helpful. I also would not encourage you to go, well, he stepped away from the sport for 3 years. Maybe I should go step away from the sport for 3. I wouldn't encourage you to do all of that. But there are some things that you could look at, and one thing about Nate Diaz is he's very authentic and he's very real. There's an expression. A rich man has many problems, but a poor man has only one. What that is to mean is a rich man has a lot of things going on. He's got a lot of things he's got to worry about. A poor guy's just got to worry about where his next meal is. That's what it's about. But there is a very relevance there for a guy from Stockton who, while secretly made a whole bunch of money, never came out and flaunted it. Never left his hometown, never left his gym, never left his coaches, never got into the fancy cars and never showed it off. Appeared to be just a very regular guy. And that's somebody that people can get behind very much, who at all times has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. And it might only be a little one, but it's a little one and it's spread over a whole bunch of places, which gives you a whole lot of opponents. It gives you a whole lot of opportunities. Look, to look at the other side of the coin, Conor McGregor's a huge star. Great spot. Conor McGregor's not in as great of a spot as he used to be. He's just as huge of a star, but he's not in as great of a spot. Okay? And soon, over a period of time, he could end up in the terrible spot, which is the one John Jones is in right now, where you got a whole bunch of talent and you got nobody to fight. You can't even fill up an arena with all of that talent because you ran through it. I mean, you ran through the guys to fight. You're in a building process, and you're this weird part of your career, and there's one guy to fight, and his name's Daniel Cormier, and now he's off the board. He's a weight class separate, and he doesn't even want you anymore. He wants a guy named Stipe Miocic, and all of a sudden, you're on third base wearing a catcher's mitt, watching time click off your career, looking around a building that you're headlining with a whole bunch of people dressed up as empty seats. You go, what happened to the day that I sold out arenas? Well, not you, but it is a division, and it becomes a problem. When you were Conor and you were coming in and you're poking your finger in everybody's chest, including Jose Aldo, who had been on a 10-year undefeated run through 2 different organizations, there's something there. But once you climb up in that loft, once you're to the top of the ladder, what do? Not an easy answer to a question to answer. It's a different formula and it's a different situation. Then when you're where Conor has been as of recently, which isn't a wonderful place in the headlines, and you're choosing to overcorrect by being super sweet to people through social media, it does help to correct for some of that. It does give people a nice, cozy look. But when you get ready to come back, where are you going to go? Who are you looking to? And why? And it seems that his beefs are very limited. Yes, there are a number of people who would like to fight him. They will do a good night of business. But it still brings you back as to why are we here, which is a piece of the story with Conor McGregor that he always answered for us. Conor was a master of always answering that for us. We never had to ask. He knew you were wondering, he'd get in front of him and he would tell you why we were here. He could very quickly find himself in a spot going, boy, my options are limited. I got this thing with Khabib. I've always got this Nate Diaz. I don't really have anybody else, so I guess I got to choose between Khabib and Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz is all the way up at 170, and Khabib's tied up with Dustin Poirier. I mean, you guys see the conversation I'm trying to have? And I'm not offering for you the answers, though I have them. I'm not offering them for you. I'm trying to get your minds to work so that you can think about this, because it's different remedies and different solutions and different times. Everything is a competition. I know some people don't look at it like, I can remember being at press conferences, counting who got asked the most questions. And if it wasn't me, I had to go in the back and come up with a new plan before the next press conference because that was never going to happen to me again. Every single thing has to be a competition. You're competing for everything. The loudest applause, the most t-shirt sales, the most eyeballs, the most followers, the most haters, wherever they come from. And I just think when you look at somebody like Nate Diaz, who unintentionally, many people will believe he's a marketing genius and many people will believe he just stumbled into something. I believe I believe he's an unintentional genius. What he does is absolutely brilliant. I just don't think there was a strategy ahead of time. One thing about him is he's real. He's authentic. When he speaks and he says something, there is no tongue-in-cheek, there's no winking, there's no trying to get eyeballs and sell pay-per-views. There's a real guy with real guy problems from a real tough city in a real tough sport that's trying to get by. And there's just something there that people can relate to. And it's special. It's not overly creative. It's not manufactured in any way. It's basic. It's humble. It's clean. It's honest. It's compelling.